Welcome to Elimination Chamber 2022. From Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, I'm angry. I'm angry because it's the third time I'm doing this. I botched twice. My battery died in the second attempt, and I had to change out my battery. It pissed me off. Guys, this show was not worth it. It wasn't worth it. I'm going to explain it, but it wasn't worth it, okay? And if you ask me about The Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame, I know I'll probably make a Gump Report video on that and my thoughts about it. But I'm focusing on this, and this show wasn't worth it. Let's start with, I didn't do the kickoff show. I didn't want to watch the kickoff show, so I didn't watch it, period. When it comes to the opening, the Universal title match between Goldberg and Roman Reigns. And you see I'm rushing here because I don't want to get pissed off. I want to go through this quickly because I want to get ready for No Surrender tonight. What you get was a 7 to 8 or 9 minute match. I can't remember how long it was. It was longer than 5 minutes. It was at least 7, 8, or near 9 minutes easily. Goldberg tanked after 5 minutes. He did a good spear. Fine. He had a cut on his head. Fine. He get a guillotine choke and gets wiped out. He's basically passed out. And he doesn't job like he should. He should have just tapped out, not basically passed out like in Austin. But I gotta say this. This is what I really wanted. I wanted Goldberg to win. Flat out. You know why? Because I wanted to see how pissed off the fans would be at Vince for allowing Goldberg to win, and then eventually Vince realizing he made a stupid mistake and having to give the title back to Roman Reigns, which shows 100% that Roman Reigns has no one to work with. No one to work with. This entire show is just to show how badly booked everyone in WWE is, and that Vince has no one to work with on his show. He's got nobody. He's got Roman Reigns, and I'll explain about Brock Lesnar in a minute, but you get my point. Let's move on. Now, we got the women's elimination match, and you got Doudrop, and I believe her first name was Pepper, last name is Pepper. You got Nikki Ash, which I don't know why she was in there. I can understand you getting Rhea Ripley in there. I can easily understand Bianca Belair. I can easily understand Liv Morgan. And I can easily understand when it comes to, breed, Alexa Bliss. But I gotta say this. Seeing what these women, because in the last 2 times I tried this, I'm overexposed. The last 2 times I tried this, I forgot to say this. The women there didn't have to wear shirts like they used to. This time around, the women throughout the entire show had to wear something like either latex or spandex to hide their lady bits. Look, I'm not hating 100% on Saudi Arabia. They're highly traditional. But when you see most of this show and see how the king or the prince, I can't remember who it is right now, the Saudi king or prince, wanted his city to look freaking awesome, having dances for the people, having supposedly the women put on electronic billboards to make it look so good. He wanted the world to see that his city and his country is highly progressive. When you have to make the women all the American or Scottish, Irish, or New Zealand, all these women having to wear one-piece clothes that either was spandex or latex, hopefully they didn't tear, probably just one-piece fabric or spandex, and they're supposed to wear it. You want to say the progressive, the women should wear the way they want. But no. These women had to wear either very tight fabric clothes, which is one piece, one whole piece, or possibly spandex. This is so progressive he is. Kiss my ass. Now, was the match good? It was so to okay. Look, I didn't expect much from Rhea Ripley or from the Nikki Ash. It's just not much I cared about. But I have to say, when I saw Nikki Ash working with Pepper, I can't remember her first name. I don't like Doudrop, but I'm saying Pepper because that's her name, Pepper. When you see them, they should be working with Drew McIntyre as a Scottish team. I'm sorry. The Irish guys should be working together. Why not the Scottish girls and guy work together, which is Drew McIntyre with Pepper and, I'm about to say Doudrop, Pepper and Nikki. I would like to see that, but they'll never do that because Vincent Kenny McMahon, who is Scottish, I think Scottish-Irish, doesn't want to do that. Kiss my ass. I'm just saying, look, let's make this clear. Was it wise to let Bianca Belair win? Yes. Would it have been better for someone else to win? Yes. You want to know who? Who was the most cheered? Who was the most over? Who has been having all these vignettes? And this is now the first time she comes back to the ring? Alexa Bliss. Now, do I love Alexa Bliss? No. Do I think she's cute looking? Yeah. Do I think she's over because of what happened with her working with Bray Wyatt? Yes, she's still over. Do I think she's still doing the little gimmick when it comes to Bray Wyatt's gimmick? Yes, at least partially. But she just came back. She was hell of a over. And she should have won. But of course, we have to let Bianca win. But this is the thing that I'm sure just Alex is not going to understand. And maybe JD or Solomon's not going to understand. They're going to say, well, good that she had to win. It was necessary. We're getting Bianca Belair where she belongs in WrestleMania. Actually, she shouldn't be there. You want to know why? It's not because she's not great in the ring. It doesn't mean that she's not a great talker. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have charisma. It's that this shouldn't be damage control for what happened at SummerSlam last year. A 26-second loss to frickin' Becky Lynch makes her win again the Elimination Chamber to go to WrestleMania to fix what Vince was stupid enough to let happen last year. This is freaking damage control, not a real moment. You know who would have a real moment? Alexa Bliss. And I'm not even for Alexa Bliss having that moment. But because she was gone, that she was so over when she left, and she's still over coming back, it would make sense if you want to do something really substantial, let Alexa win. Even if you don't care about her, it would have made sense. This is freaking damage control. And I feel sorry for Bianca, because even though she'll be at the main event of WrestleMania, maybe night 1 or 2, it's damage control. And this is what they're not going to get. It doesn't mean as much as it would if she has been built throughout the entire year, or at least near the entire year, since that was in August and we're going to be in April. I'm just saying. Now, the match that was stupid. A one-arm tie behind your back tag team match where Ronda Rousey had to have an arm tied behind the back of her back because you got Sonya Deville setting it up because she was still in supposedly a sling. You got that. She coming out in a gi, which is fine. She came out barefoot in a gi because she is a she's a 6th-level judo champion. She went to I think she went to the Olympics and she won. And she's known to be a judo expert, a 6th-level judo expert. No problem. It's just that she wasn't as over as many people think she is. And being that she has an attitude that people don't like her with that's a problem. She, instead of keeping her mouth shut and not getting angry at the fans, she has an attitude. But the problem here wasn't a Ronda Rousey getting an arm tied behind her back and she has an attitude towards the fans. It wasn't that Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville wasn't a good heel. For what the work she's done with Naomi, she's been all right, at least in the beginning into the middle, because this has dragged on too long. And then when it comes to Charlotte Flair, who cares about Charlotte? She's a 13-time champion who's been in the same position for years, and she's boring. Boring. This was about not Naomi, like just Alex wants to say. It's freaking Naomi, because that's what she pronounced herself as. And no one seems to respect that unless she changed her mind and she says, "Hi guys, my name is Naomi Knight." They want to call her Naomi. Fuck that. Her name is Naomi. Just like my government name is pronounced a certain way because of my mama had pronounced it a certain way. Not because historically, and my name is in the Bible. Yeah, my name is in the Bible. I'm just saying. It actually means fruitful. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You probably figure that out. You'll probably look it up. But the point is that that's the way her name is pronounced. Naomi. That's the way she says it. Show respect. But no one does. And there was no respect to Naomi here because she was so freaking over. At one point, they were begging for her to be brought into the match. Those people in Jeddah, I will say at the Superdome, they were cheering like crazy for Naomi. At one point, the sound actually clipped. Guys, I'm not even for or against the Jeddah fans. I'm not. They did a good job trying to make this interesting. This just wasn't a worth it pay-per-view. But the point is, at one point, they had started having so much loudness for her that it probably nearly clipped. And someone decided, you know what, we're going to reduce the fans. Because the volume was here, and all of a sudden it was almost beginning to show clipping, and they just lowered it down when Naomi was brought in. And then they would bring it back up with everybody else. That shows how much Naomi was over. In the end, she has to face this one. It was Ronda Rousey who managed to pin Sonya Deville. I'm not surprised. You're not going to have a Charlotte get pinned there, and you're not going to have a Naomi at this moment. But honestly, Naomi, and if you have seen my Gump report on Naomi leaving the WWE, and I'm making this clear, I know she'll never leave. I'm just saying she should leave, and what will happen if she did. And this is a prime example of it. They actually had to reduce the volume on the people cheering for her because it was almost nearly clipping. And they did that not just because it was almost nearly clipping, because they had people clip and they still let them cheer. They did it because they didn't want to make Ronda Rousey look bad. I'm just saying. Now, we got a match that I'm going, what in the blue fuck just happened? We had Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. I'm going like, the mighty has fallen. You see him working with a Brock Lesnar during the pandemic, and he's working his ass off to try and make every match and every promo, everything work as best as could be expected, including doing story time with Drew McIntyre, which sucked beyond recognition after the first week or two. But he worked his ass off to try and make everything he did mean something. And he's reduced to working with Happy Corgan and Madcap Moss. And this boy, I'm hoping he's not concussed. Because at one point, and I know I've been putting images into this, but you're going to see that at one point, Drew decided, once he put him up on a top turnbuckle, he takes him and he decides to do a reverse Alabama slam. And he slams him straight down on the mat. But it's in my face. Madcap decides, instead of trying to flatten his head straight, make his chest straight and his head straight and his back straight, so when he comes off of Drew's shoulders, he will not slam straight head first into the damn mat. And he didn't, and he went head first hard into the freaking mat. If he's not concussed or hurt or slipped any disc in his neck, he is a lucky bastard. Because that was the worst thing. I'll show it again if I got that shot, and I should. It's in my face again. From the back end. What the hell? That wasn't worth it. And then he still continued the damn freaking match. And took another nasty bump until it was finally over, when you see Drew holding an Elizabeth in his hand and gives him a claymore. I will be hopeful he is not concussed, or worse, his neck is not jacked. It wasn't worth it, that damn match. It was not worth having pretty much a falls count anywhere match with a non-count out, with a no disqualification, where it should have been just Madcap Moss, but guess what? Happy Corgan helped out, and this is what we get. What? It wasn't worth it. Now, briefly, Usos was supposed to have a match with the Viking Raiders, War Raiders. They whooped their ass before they got into the match, and there was no match. No match, no mas, whatever. What was the point of doing that? It wasn't necessary to even bring them out. It wasn't necessary to even have that moment. You could have done it in a damn kickoff show. If it was going to be that, They should have just done that in the kickoff show so they wouldn't have to worry about it. And it didn't need to take up time. There was like 5 minutes or more. 3 to 5 minutes easily of them coming out to the ring. The War Raiders having their moment. They'll walk out. Get the butts kicked. You see, not Ibar, but the other, I forgot the other guy. He gets slammed on top of Ibar and gets splatted. And they spend the next 2 minutes or so of them showing them being splatted before the Usos walk away. I'm sure it was almost 4 minutes. Nearly 4 minutes of that. It was a waste of time. It didn't need to happen. Now, the match where I really believe they could have done something quite interesting. Lita versus Becky for the Raw Women's title. Now, I know because of Bianca winning, of course Becky was going to win. But let's be honest here. What would you rather see? Becky versus Bianca Belair, where this is about damage control. Not about giving a Bianca Belair a great moment, but to make up for what happened at SummerSlam. 26 seconds. Jobs. That is making up. That is damage control. Wouldn't it have been better to actually have Lita versus a Bianca Belair so you forget about Becky, who screwed over Bianca, and give her a real moment with Lita. And Lita didn't do a bad job there. People loved her. People really appreciate the work she was doing. She wasn't perfect. You can obviously see she's not been in a ring often, even though she has been practicing. You can see that she's slower. Not just because she's older. It's because, really, she's not in the ring all the time. She's just not there. So she is a little bit slower than she normally would be. Not because she's an old-ass woman. Woman's like, gorgeous still. Good in shape. Physical. But she's not a in-ring competitor constantly, so she's going to be a little more cautious, particularly with her neck still being jacked. She's got to be careful. So she's a little more softer, a little more slower than she normally would be if she was still healthy. And not just because she's young. She was finally beaten. And you could see after the match was over, people were going ape shit for her. Because they really still love Lita. And this shows you how badly booked the women are, just like the men. No real competitors in both divisions. Because, not taking anything away from Lita, they were cheering way more than they should. Not because she's not loved and not a legend. It's because there's no one that's really interesting in the divisions. This just shows you how weak it is. Finally, if I'm forgetting anything, I don't believe I'm forgetting anything. Let me see. I talked about that, talked about that. That's it. The men's Elimination Chamber. Matt Riddle, not calling him Riddle. I'm surprised to see Austin Fury there because I didn't check to see who was going to be in the match. I thought maybe, I knew that Riddle might be in there, so I thought maybe a Randy Orton would be there. So it would make things interesting when they start doing the divide. No, he wasn't there. So you got AJ, you have Lashley, you had Matt Riddle, you had Austin Fury, you had Seth Rollins, and you got Brock Lesnar. Now here's where things become off the rails. Everyone gets in the ring, no problem. Everything's worked out, no problem. You got Seth starting with a Austin Fury who wants to impress a Vincent Kenny McMahon. That's the way you want it. But guess what? Seth does the most asinine damn thing. Now, it isn't like it hasn't been done before where someone will grab you and powerbomb you somewhere. People do that all the time. They'll powerbomb you from the top ring rope, the second rope. It can be done. You can be powerbombed from the top of the skirt of the ring to the floor. It's been done. Even getting thrown into one of the pods to throw the person off inside has been done. But a power bomb into the pod with Lashley that threw him back so hard that supposedly, if it's true, he is now completely concussed. He could not function after Austin Fury had been thrown into him, shoved so hard and fast into the side of the pod, he gets concussed and is out of the match. Wonderful, Seth. Wonderful, WWE. If it's true that he has a possible concussion, light or just a plain concussion, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for fucking up. Yes, we knew there was going to be a possibility, but we knew that we were going to see Brock Lesnar win. But wouldn't it have been good to see Brock Lesnar again against a Lashley? Something many people still want to see more of. But if he's concussed lightly or concussed fully, that freaking sucks. It was stupid. Then we got the rest of the match. And we had Riddle first, who came out. I wasn't surprised. He was nothing. Then we had AJ come out. By the third one, of course, it wasn't Brock. Brock was going to be last. And there was no Lashley to be released. So Brock decided, fuck this. Something's gone wrong. I'm just going to bust out of my damn pod and just destroy everyone. He takes out Riddle. He takes out AJ. Once that happens, he takes out... Who takes out Seth? I think, yeah. He takes out Riddle. He takes out Seth. No, wait a minute. I take that back. Who was first out? Yeah, Seth was first out. Then Riddle was taken out. Then AJ was taken out. And then it was just Austin Fury and a Brock Lesnar. Last completely. The only chance he had was to give him a damn numb shot. I think he was a little too vigorous with it, because when it was all over, you can see Brock Lesnar still shaking his ass because his nut was still supposedly all messed up from that. But at one point during the match, he gets that nut shot. You see Austin Fury DDT him. He thought he had him, he didn't. So he decides to climb all the way up on top of the cage. I believe I got a shot of it. It's in my face. He does it. Brock grabs him, pulls him down, takes him on top of one of the cages, and he proceeds to completely F5 his ass off the cage, where you can, I believe I got a shot of it, because once he does the F5, you can see Austin Fury quickly puts his legs down so he can land on his feet, so he can make it look good. But if you really wanted to make it interesting, it would have been better for him to just take him to the top turnbuckle and just let him do an F5 straight off of there, so at least he can land flat. Yes, he would be hurt. It would hurt. It would have been hurt. But it would have looked real. It would look more interesting than him doing it from there and landing on his feet. Now, mind you, I'm glad he did that, because I don't want to see him hurt. Because doing a flat hit like that with an F5, he could have easily cracked his ribs or broken his ribs. So I'm glad he landed on his feet and he was able to roll through it. But in the end, Brock Lesnar won. And now we have a title, supposedly champion versus champion, but they haven't said it. Well, I think they did say it's title versus title now. Supposedly. I think. It's champion versus champion. I think it's title for title. Title versus title. I think that's what they said. So was that, well, let's make this clear. Was this a good Elimination Chamber show? No. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. It just shows the glaring weakness of the WWE. You have Naomi, who is heavily over, and you're not doing anything with her. You got Roman Reigns, who had to work with a horribly, badly working Goldberg, who did try to make things work, but he's just not in condition to work like he is anymore. Particularly what he did with The Undertaker and with Bray Wyatt. He just can't do it anymore. It just shows there's no one for Roman Reigns to work with. So now, you see that. Then you see Lita. Lita should have won. You know why? Because they still got no one on the roster that even makes things right for a Becky or Bianca Belair for that matter. Guys, if Bianca had to have a championship match, it should be special. And it's not. She's not getting a special match. She's getting a make-up match for what happened on the last signature pay-per-view of SummerSlam, because she should have never jobbed. This is a make-up match, not a signature match. And if anybody thinks it's a signature match, you're fucking stupid. Because it's not. Because they're going to make up for what they did to her for 26-second jobbing. So when it comes to this show just shows you how badly booked, or worse yet, not just badly booked, no one is booked right. There is no one in the main title picture. No one is in the mid-card picture. No one is in the undercard picture for the men. No one is in the title picture for the women very well. No one is in the title picture of the other women. Raw and SmackDown. Same thing for the men. But then, if you got a tag team titles, they weren't represented unless they're represented on the kickoff show, which really didn't mean anything. It just shows you it doesn't mean nothing. This just shows you how they don't book their people and that they don't care about booking their people. They'll use older wrestlers that either don't wrestle anymore and look really slow, sluggish, or in some cases, just plain bad. I'm just saying, I hope you enjoyed this. I exercise my demon. Elimination Chamber, please give me a comment below. This will be released on Sunday. I'll make it clear. This is Sunday release. I'm not even editing this tonight. I'm editing it tomorrow morning, and I will upload it tomorrow morning, so you will see this. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy also my. I really hope that No Surrender is really good to take the taste out of my mouth of this show. I really hope, because it's like about near 4 already after doing this. Peace.